Crosschoke, a podcast from the Fight Life Ministries, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to tflministries.com. Welcome to Crosschoke, a TFL podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Zach Anderson. Each week, I'm joined by the one and only Dakota and Zach. We have combined experience in MMA, music, ministry, and food. We hope we add value to your day. Now, enjoy the show.
It's the cross. Jesus went to that cross, and he took the stripes, and he took the nails, and he bore all those things for us. 3 days later, up from the grave, he arose. 3 days later, he rose as King of Kings and as Lord of Lords.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning, y'all. I got my old hazelnut cup of coffee here. Cup of coffee? Where'd I just go? To Wisconsin? Cup of coffee? Oh, welcome to Season 2, Episode 18 of Crosschoke, a TFL Ministry podcast. I am one of your hosts, Zach Anderson. I'm joined, like always, with the mystical Viking himself, Dakota and.
What an honor.
I was contemplating this week on what to call you.
Like thought all week?
That's like the hardest part of this whole thing, is like, what am I going to call Dakota when it's my turn to do the intro?
Anything but feminine, I'm okay with.
Rhino. I was trying to like play off Rhino. I was going to do like the big Rhino. But usually I fail at that second part. But Dakota, today, we are joined by our first ever TFL cornerman, the pioneering inventor of the leg Kimura and the lemur pass, Jake Duran.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? Jake here with TFL Revolution. Also, if you may recall,
true.
He is actually part of the pioneering TFL Ministry podcast team.
That's right.
So
he's world renowned,
dude. Like this is the man. Also, our like best friend, my best friend from life, my brother, Jake. What's up?
What's up, guys?
Well, I'm so glad you're here that we're able to pull this off. What time is it?
This is exciting. It is currently 3:50 p.m. over here.
And here we are recording at 7:51. We're a little behind schedule this morning.
Yeah, just a little bit. But it's the weekend, man, and it's a holiday.
It's the weekend.
So we're on the verge of Independence Day. So you're in Cairo, Egypt. We'll talk more about what you're doing and kind of where you are, that kind of thing in a second. But do they recognize anything to do with American independence?
What a question.
You know, can't say we're lighting fireworks off tomorrow, but
That'd be cool.
Here's a follow-up question. Are you celebrating in any way tomorrow?
actually, yeah, we're gonna have some friends over and we're gonna barbecue some food.
That's cool.
And just hang out. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but no, there were no fireworks stands open, no, nothing like that. But
well, awesome, brother. Well, we're really glad we could pull this off, and we're so happy for you to join us today.
yeah, I just want to say that I'm so happy to be here, and like, well, you guys are my best friends, and like, I love you guys. Really, the podcast is one of my favorite things to listen to. I look forward to it every week, so I'm super excited. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jake. Well, let's open things up. You are listening to Crosschoke. Please leave us a review on your podcast service of choice and share with your friends. And remember, you can be part of the show by going to tflministries.com/podcast and submit any questions, comments, or concerns. Just like one of our TFL cornermen did, Luis Lopez.
So he said, hey guys, I recently had a discussion with some ministry friends about free will. They were asking how we can truly have free will if God already knows everything that will happen to us. I thought this would be a good question for the podcast, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. Thanks. Jake, do you have anything on the top of your head in response to this question?
For sure. I mean, there's definitely the whole conversation that we've talked about with like Calvinism versus Arminianism and the whole topic of like free will and like if God has ordained and planned everything, then is it truly free will? And like, but really, I think in this specific question, if how could we truly have free will if God already knows everything that will happen? It's almost like they're not related, you know, because of course God already knows what's going to happen. He's God. I mean, he has all the power, all the authority on heaven and on earth. Yet, because of his love, he gives us that free will. I think what's important to note here is like the characteristic of God is loving. And from his love, he gives us free will. And so I think that's like, of course, yeah, he knows everything that's going to happen. But because he's loving, he's not some like all powerful command you to do like every single thing in your life. But he gives us like that choice of free will.
Yeah, you make an interesting point with saying the love and free will go together, because only by choice is love possible.
Mm-hmm.
And only then can we freely choose God. You know, therefore there's love in the relationship.
It's cool to think that they're not related topics, because I think for a lot of people who battle with Christianity on an intellectual level, that is definitely an argument that they have inside, is thinking about free will. I've had that conversation multiple times with people who think on a more intellectual level versus like a relationship level with God. And I think that's a very good point that you made, that they're really not related about free will and God being all-knowing. They're separate topics.
Yeah, that's good. And we're kind of in the balance of it all, you know, and there's so much that we can't quite possibly grasp about God, which is part of this too. I don't really think we like that sometimes, that we can't quite understand it fully. But this is one of those things where it's like God is completely sovereign. He knows all things, yet we're able to choose freely. But he already knows what you're going to choose, but it doesn't take away from your free will at all still.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure.
I guess God is God is the answer. Thank you for writing in, Lewis. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight from us and the Cross Choke world. So, in other news, Dakota.
This is our Season 2 finale. I want to say a very special thank you to the Cross Choke community for making this podcast what it is. Also, a special thank you to all our guest appearances, just like Jake.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, that's why I'm here.
Hey, just send the check whenever we're done, huh? Also, we welcome your feedback and suggestions about Season 2, what you'd like to see in Season 3. For some reason, Dakota, we laugh about this quite a bit, but it seems like people don't really tend to ever give you or I legitimate critical feedback.
That's because we're perfect. Let's just face it.
Okay, so here's a quick
That must be it.
Here's a quick story, because I don't know, did I share this story before about the announcement video?
Yes.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay, with the
But you can share it again.
Who's that? Led Zeppelin? No, that ain't Led Zeppelin.
No.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
They're all
Ozzy Osbourne.
They're all the same thing. Yeah, anyways, this video I made with Ozzy Osbourne music in the background, and I thought it was hilarious. And so I shared it with, like, other ministry friends and be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And nobody, like, ever said that it was bad.
Like, good
and
job, buddy.
It was horrible. They're like, oh, man, that's good. Maybe
It's a little loud.
So Dakota and I were like, oh, we'll go to you guys for honest feedback.
True. Lastly, throughout the show, we're giving away 2 PSN codes, each good for $10. First come, first serve. The first one, get your PlayStations ready, is 36K595NX TE4M.
That looks like team.
It does look like team.
TE4M.
Zach's sitting there typing it into his.
Yeah, I'm like, I got it right.
First come, first serve. Wow.
You hear the PlayStation beep. All right. So with that out of the way, just a quick, specific thank you, truly to every listener who has grown with us, has been patient with us. We definitely don't know everything, but we just love to talk about God, talk about life, how we can make it practical, and just kind of in the middle of all that, we just thank you for everybody who has supported us. And season 3, for kind of an ETA of when season 3 will come around. We're thinking August. Take July off, take a little break, reevaluate, come into season 3 ready to rock and roll. So, anyways, Dakota, do you know what time it is?
Jake Duran. I was hoping that meant 3 and 2.
Yeah, that was my little attempt back at my
And not
Arabic.
like, don't speak, somebody's spying on us.
Don't go back. I can't go from 3 to 1 in Arabic. I could go from 1 to 3.
That was 1, 2.
Wahed.
Is that one?
Juice. Tleta. So I guess you go Tleta.
You say juice?
Kinda.
What's
ask
this
Jake.
number again?
2.
In Arabic?
I don't know now.
Your lips look like they are about to fall off your face.
I need more coffee. All right, Jake, you are the topic of the show. This is the first time our...
Why am I asking you, Jake? What is this number?
Well, in Morocco, it's different because they speak a silly Arabic.
Yeah.
Silly.
So my Arabic knowledge is kind of a dirty Arabic.
How dare you?
The Egyptian Arabic is like way more pristine.
The Fransawis.
Yeah, I'm just kind of
What?
I'm kind of a mutt.
What changes? What's the difference? What was the influence?
The dialect in Morocco is very heavily influenced by the French, and so they have like a melting pot of French, Spanish, and Arab culture, and so most Arabs would not be able to understand anybody from Morocco.
Wow. It's that bad.
Yeah.
It's like South Georgia.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah, when you get on the phone with customer service and you just can't understand what they're saying.
Like, hello, darn.
They're still speaking English, but
Or like UK.
you don't know.
Like what?
Or
the
like Australia.
Oh, that's.
But it's not even that. It would be like relative to like if Spanish people were talking to people that spoke Portuguese, like a lot of the words are the same, but they still don't know what they're
That's a
saying.
great
You could like
example.
catch on, but you're like, okay, I still have no idea what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
you could like, okay, I kind of have the context of what you're saying, but I don't know what you're saying.
Right.
So
Jake, before we get too far into discussion, which is really easy for us three just to chat, for any of our listeners who may not know who you are, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself.
for sure. Well, yeah, so I was born and raised in Butte, lived in Butte, Montana my whole life. And when I was about 7 or 8, got into karate and martial arts. That's where I met Zach. And then through the years, got really involved with the church, had a life-changing experience with Jesus, gave my life to him, and started to get involved with TFL and Imperial BJJ and doing all that kind of stuff, serving the Lord faithfully. Then 11 months ago, I made a big life change. I moved over here to Cairo, Egypt to study abroad and to learn Arabic. And I've been living here since and absolutely loving it.
That's awesome. The whole life story condensed.
Yeah, that was good. Well done.
Yeah, that's about it. All you need to know.
All right, guys, so that's it for this episode.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you season 3.
So we talked a little bit about Arabic. You know, how has studying Arabic been for you?
It's definitely been different. Arabic, if you look at the scale of the most difficult languages that an English speaker could learn, Arabic and Chinese are at the top of the list. So Arabic is super hard. Definitely, it's one of the hardest things I've had to do mentally. One of the things that I didn't expect is the physical exhaustion that comes from studying language, because you live in a culture where you don't hear English. Like every day you are battered by sounds that you don't recognize. And so you're constantly trying to understand it and to comprehend what you don't know. And it's like your brain is in overdrive all the time. So when I very first arrived, I would have to sleep like much more than I was used to. Like 8 hours of sleep was not enough. Like I'd get done with Arabic class and I would just be exhausted and I would have to take a nap. And like, you got to eat more because your brain is like physically burning calories from the amount of thinking that you're doing. So it definitely has been a different experience, but however, like in my time here, I have progressed from that point to where now it's normal. I mean, I feel comfortable in the language that I can speak with people around me, and I'm not like scared to do anything because of lack of communication or anything like that. But I'm in a comfortable state right now with my Arabic. So,
how fluent are you on a scale from 1 to 10? If
fluency,
somebody comes up to you and just goes full bore Arabic,
yeah,
can you understand
I would say
most
that,
of it?
yeah. So I would say as far as fluency, maybe I'm at a 5. I think that's like a good grounds because, for example, if somebody is to come up to me, first, like there's levels, you know, if somebody comes up to you in the States, you will understand what they say. But here, because the education system is so different, because the class system is so different, you have people that are on a lower class who speak differently than people that are on a higher class. So, and for example, people like have bad teeth here. They don't have the medical system that we have in the States. That contributes to the way that they speak. So it might not be that I don't like know what they're saying, but I can't understand what they're saying.
Like somebody from Georgia.
But I can hold, yeah, right, exactly. I can hold a good conversation in Arabic. Like I can talk about, you know, basically whatever. And I'm at the point now where if I don't understand something, I can get to understand it with my Arabic. I don't have to resort to something else.
So you would say, like, overall, there's probably a level of communication that you always have to be ready to not understand. No matter how much Arabic you know, there's always going to be, like, that unknown of if I can actually understand
That's
this person.
for sure. And it also is, like, you know, regions of life. Like, I know what everything in my house is called in Arabic. So if I have to go to the store, I have no problem getting it. But say if I go to, you know, somewhere else that I've never been, I've never learned any of the words, you know, it's like, what the heck am I going to do? You know, if I have to go to if I drove a car and I have a problem with my car, I don't know how to say engine. I don't know how to say steering wheel, you know, like, so there's a level of like, depending on what you've studied and what you've experienced, you won't know unless you've done it. So
you're walking around with
carburetor.
No, like what book is that? A Luxor? No, that's a hotel in Vegas.
What kind of car do you drive?
No,
Luxor is here in Egypt.
Yeah. Oh no, what am I? What am I? That book with all the pictures.
But that is the hotel
in Vegas. I was there.
A manual?
Yeah.
No, not a car. Not a car.
Oh.
No. It's a book. I had to have it in Morocco when I was studying.
A dictionary?
Not a dictionary.
With pictures?
Dang it! Never mind. It's little kid drawings of like a steering wheel of like whatever, and they say you could learn any language through the book.
Oh, interesting.
Because if I sit down with you and you're speaking Arabic, I'll point at this, you tell me the name of it, and then I can figure it out.
I can just imagine you walking down the streets just like,
yeah, that's what I was picturing. Jake, he's got
burrito. Are there any burritos here?
For when he gets his Cairo car or scooter, because they love scooters there, right?
Yeah, lots of scooters.
What was maybe you've been there for almost a year now.
Yep.
Maybe kind of take us back to when you first got there, or maybe a recent experience of something that was a culture shock moment for you.
Sure. So to be honest, I didn't really experience a huge like culture shock. Like there wasn't really anything to me that was like so shocking that I didn't expect, except for the heat. I walked, because when I arrived here, I arrived in August. And so I walked out of the airport at 2 a.m. and it was 95 degrees. And I was like, what did I just walk into? Like I'm immediately sweating. I just traveled for 48 hours. Like I'm so tired. And I was like, it's 2 a.m. It should not be this hot. Like that was the real like wake up call, walking out of the airport and realizing like, I am not in Montana anymore. Like I am in the desert for sure. But on that idea of like culture shock, I tend to like to use the phrase culture stress more, because there are things here that it's not shocking to you. You know, when you say like shocking, it makes it sound like it's so immediate and in your face. But culture stress is something that begins to wear on you after a time of 3 or 4 or up to 6, 8 months, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things for me during my first semester here was the traffic. So being from Montana, there's zero traffic, you know. Maybe a buffalo will walk across the road on the way to Yellowstone, but there's no such thing.
You make
as
us sound like
traffic.
we're a desolate state. Like Zach and I are the only people who live here.
Hey, I'll come
Yeah.
on down. I got old Yeller out this
I
morning.
saw you walking up to your house last night.
Oh, you were watching me again?
So you move from the buffalo in the road to you move to Cairo that has so much traffic that's all you know, and no traffic laws. So here in Egypt, like, they are known for how crazy the traffic is. And so something that like started to like wear on me after 3 or 4 months is the cars honking, because it's 2 a.m. the cars are honking outside. It's 2 in the afternoon, the cars are honking outside. But it's not like in the US, if somebody honks at you, it's because either they're mad at you or you did something wrong or whatever. But the cars have their own language. So like a certain amount of beeps means I'm coming on your left or on your right or I'm behind you or whatever. But for me, like when you walk across the street and a car honks at you, they're just letting you know, hey, I see you. I'm not going to run you over. But for me, I had to get over the fact of this guy like honking at me like, oh, he's calling me a jerk or something and wanting to be like, what? Like, I'm just walking.
The American,
Leave me alone.
the American way.
I'm walking here. Yeah,
No
it's
respect.
literally like. So for me, like, that was something. Every time a car would honk at me, I would have to think in my mind, don't get mad. Like, it's okay. Like, this doesn't mean what it means back home. And that was definitely something that, like, I had to get over because it's not going to stop. You know, it's not like, oh, it's fine. You know, you got to get over that.
Can you imagine
So that's definitely,
doing that in the States? Just like driving down Harrison Avenue, honking every time you pass somebody, and
it's so funny. Like, that's definitely probably going to be one of the reverse culture shock things for
Sure.
me is when I return home, I'm going to start honking at everybody and not even think anything of it. And people are going to be like, oh, this guy's a jerk.
Who's this guy? Who's this big shot, huh? Funny man, huh?
Yeah. Hey, I'm driving here.
There's this guy that comes to jiu-jitsu. So I don't know if you've seen Jumanji 2,
yes,
Next Level or whatever it's called.
great movie.
Yeah.
especially for a sequel.
I didn't think it was as good as the first one until I watched it again.
It was really good.
The first time I watched it, I was like, and then I watched it again for some reason, and I was like, okay, the second time I watched it,
Robert De Niro, man.
yeah, he's so good.
Oh wait, it wasn't
I was
Robert.
like, wait, Robert De Niro.
Danny
DeVito. There
DeVito.
When he said Robert
Robert
DeVito,
De Niro.
who the heck is that?
They're like the same person.
And I'm
right?
all,
They've been in like.
I'm all, oh yeah, man, they're good.
Yeah, he's so good.
But Danny DeVito, portrayed by The Rock, you know, and he goes, Spencer? Spencer, is that you? So there's this guy, Nick. His name's Nick, who trains with us. But we give nicknames to everybody because that's kind of our thing. I don't know. But Mike, our head instructor, always thought he would look like a Spencer.
Perfect.
So now that I have this amazing knowledge of Danny DeVito as The Rock, all I could think of when everybody's like, oh, Spencer, you're here. I'm like, Spencer!
Seriously, that movie was so good. A1 quality.
Can't say I've seen it.
It's pretty good. So
Have you seen
speaking...
the Egyptian version?
You know?
It probably
Can't say
wouldn't
okay, I gotta
translate well.
Go ahead.
I gotta turn the air conditioner on.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I see the sweat billowing down your forehead.
Is that why you took your shirt off?
Yeah.
I thought the conversation was just
Sorry.
getting to that point.
Sorry about that, guys.
You can put your pants back on now, Jake.
Okay. Good to go.
What kind of temperature do you like to keep your apartment? Or your, whatever you call it?
You know, about 100 is pretty comfortable.
Oh my gosh. You come up here into my house, in the room we're in, and it's like 80 degrees, and I'm like, no, this is unacceptable. I am opening all the windows.
Dude, it gets so hot in this room.
Well, comparatively, imagine if it was 100 degrees. Come up. I don't think your computer would work.
It's not 100 degrees in my house.
We've had a pretty mild summer so far in Montana. It's actually been pretty cold.
Yeah.
Why are you thinking so hard about that statement I just made?
I was thinking about what temperature I prefer out of all the temperatures.
I've never seen Dakota think so hard. Okay, what's like your ideal temperature? Are we talking like
I think like 69 degrees.
any specific reason?
70 seems too warm.
Yeah, that's just too much, man.
68 is just
69 though, that's perfect.
So do you for real like to keep it around 100 in your apartment?
No.
No way. Oh. No. Thankfully, we have air conditioners in every room of the house. So we try not to run them too much because of the pollution outside. It will actually get you pretty sick if you are just breathing in pollution constantly.
Oh, wow.
But it probably stays, 70 degrees in here, 75 maybe if it's kind of warm.
Oh, that's
but
nice.
Been in a series on balance on our podcast. Talking about the balance of justice, the balance of the cross, the balance of health. And, we kind of, talking about kind of culture, stress, what you just mentioned, and just kind of getting used to life there, basically. How has it been for you
sure.
finding kind of probably a new balance, not the shoe, and, just kind of getting into a rhythm of life there?
that's definitely one of the more difficult things that I think people who live overseas struggle with. Balance is definitely a big deal. Like Mike used to always say in jiu-jitsu is like, if your car's off balance, it's not going to drive straight. If you're off balance in your life, you're not going to go straight. So there's a lot of things that, you have to balance language and culture and abiding and spending time with Jesus, but also wanting to make friends and live in this new environment that you're not with, and health and wellness. There's so many things that you want to check off the list, which I haven't always done a good job of in my time here. But I feel now that I have a good balance of kind of everything that I have to get done, but, making sure that you're spending extravagant time with the Lord and doing all those things that is so important. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting kind of, season of balance here that I maybe wasn't prepared for because I just didn't know what it would entail.
Could you be?
I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, exactly.
What do you do for training or recreation or stuff like that?
You mentioned before you found some BJJ, yeah?
Yeah, so since the whole coronavirus pandemic of 2020, it's been a good time.
Oh, I'm sure that creates makes everything else that much more difficult.
So when I very first got here, I have a gym membership. So I was really, really active in the gym, made some good friends there and spent a lot of time there. And just a recreational gym, lifting or cardio or whatever, stuff like that. It took me a long time to find a BJJ gym, which I did find here. And pretty close to me, they have an open mat on Saturdays. And it's not too far from me. Unfortunately, just because of my time and my schedule, I've only rolled once in the 11 months that I've been here. And it was in November. So right now, my kind of, recreation and health is doing push-ups on my roof and jump roping because the gym's closed and everything is closed. But
so speaking of kind of the COVID-19 crisis, has it been pretty impactful to Cairo?
Yeah, we've had it's not in the way that it has in the U.S. Kind of been sitting back and watching what it looks like in the U.S. It's been a different experience here. Basically, in March, they began the first series of shutting things down to where they shut down all schools, any public government offices and anything like that. And then it got to the point where they instituted a curfew. So I think when the curfew first started, it was 7 o'clock. You couldn't go outside of your house after 7 until like 6 a.m. And if you did, you were subject to a fine of like 4,000 Egyptian pounds and like all this stuff. Then Ramadan hit. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Islam or anything like that, Ramadan is a holy month in Islam, and they fast, but it's a big community kind of time. People spend all this time with their family. They spend a lot of time at the mosque in prayer and doing all these things. And so Ramadan is like, people are really, really close. There's big gatherings of people, but this was all during the epidemic, and all the mosques were closed, like churches are closed, everything like that. So there's no prayer or anything. But people didn't care. They were still gathering. They were outside after the curfew, things like that. Then the curfew started to change, where it was lessened to 9 p.m. And then just as of, I think, July 1st, they have opened the borders here in Egypt for tourism. And they have removed the curfew. I think it is technically, there's still a curfew until midnight, or starting at midnight, but nobody listens. So you're also required to wear a mask in any like public space. If you go to the grocery store, the mall or the pharmacy or anything like that, you're supposed to have a mask on. However, people still don't really abide by that rule. So it's been a interesting kind of time.
It reminds me of like in your situation, the meme that's like from the show Arthur, and it's like I think it was from Arthur, maybe not. Anyways, it's like Halloween, and there's like a bowl of candy, and it says, "Please take only one." And so the older brother comes up, just takes one. The little girl takes like 2 handfuls, and the older brother's like, "What the heck? It says only take one." And she's like, "I can't read."
It's been a different experience here, being as like, I've heard a lot of people saying like, why isn't the government doing more? Why isn't the government doing less? Like all sorts of things. But Egypt, there's never been a shutdown. Businesses have been open during the day the entire time.
That's good.
So, however, it's because that Egypt, the wealth of people here and the, income, I think the estimate is something like 60% of people live off of what they make today. So if they can't work, they can't feed their kids. They can't feed their families. So if they were to institute a full shutdown for 2 weeks, what would people do? There was a revolution in Egypt in 2014. People would revolt again. I mean, it's so fresh that there's no way that they could shut down the country for 2 weeks. I mean, this is just impossible. So that's why they didn't do it. But now it seems that things are going back to normal. The cases here in Egypt really haven't gotten that high. I mean, for the amount of population, it's not even over 80,000 cases, I think. However, I doubt that all of that is reported. I mean, there's no way.
Medical care.
But I think that's true everywhere.
And how many people live in Cairo?
The population of Cairo depends on who you ask. About 25 million people. It depends if you count Giza as its own city, but in Cairo, on the map it says Cairo and Giza as 2 cities. Here in Egypt, everything is Cairo, and there's little pockets around Cairo that are different like sectors. So I live in Mohandassine. So you could almost count Cairo as the state rather than the city, and Mohandassine as my city. But it's more like just an area, basically. Sure. But so Giza is one of those like sectors of Cairo. But yeah, depending on who you ask, population of Cairo is 25 million. The population of Egypt is right around 100 million to 110 million. So yeah.
That's a few people.
A little bit.
25 Montanas.
Yeah. And not as much space.
So you ever run into someone you know at the grocery store?
From Montana. Just my roommate.
Well, like, Montana's so big land-wise, but so stinking small. Like, a couple of months ago, Abby and I went on a getaway. We went to Missoula just to, like, get out of town for a while. We ran into our pastors at Target in another whole freaking town.
That's funny.
So you kind of mentioned that there was a revolution in Cairo a couple years back. There's a revolution happening in the States, kind of.
There is. TFL revolution.
TFL revolution. But, kind of the events which transpired from the George Floyd incident and kind of we talked extensively about this with Bogey Valdez on our podcast about finding justice and the balance in justice. But have the events kind of happening in the U.S. right now impacted you at all in Cairo?
Yeah. It's I've had many people tell me that the incidences and the protests and the riots and things that are happening in the U.S. look exactly like Egypt 4 years ago, or in 2014, 6 years ago. They said, like, that's what it looked like here. I mean, people were doing all sorts of things and they were getting tear gassed and all this stuff. And so people are like, one thing that I don't know if America realizes is everyone knows their business. Like, everybody knows Egyptian politics. Like, I get in a taxi and they ask me, where are you from? I say, oh, I'm American. He goes, Trump, I love Trump. They probably don't even know anything about Donald Trump, but they're like, I love Trump, And so it's just
that's so funny.
Interesting because it's like all eyes are on America all the time. And people, they basically just ask if your family is safe, if everything is going, because from what they see, it's like, it looks like the whole country's burning to the ground, And so they're like, is your family okay? Is your mom and your dad okay? Like, are they safe? It's like, yeah, we only have 1 million people and 3 million cows where I live. They're fine, But yeah, people are definitely concerned, I think, about what's going on.
Wow. Well, in Egypt, was it like the same kind of revolution? Was it like anti-police or?
No, they were not. I don't know the entirety of the story. So there was a revolution in 2011, and they abolished their government and created an entire new system in 2011.
Oh wow!
It lasted for 3 years, and there was another revolution in 2014, and it was the same thing. They were taking down. Basically, there was issues with the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood, which is like a terrorist organization, was there's a lot of corruption within the government and a lot of things going on. And so the people, basically protested, rioted, and took down the whatever government, and now is replaced with a democracy that is under the new president and things like that. I say democracy because, in quotes, because you can't see me, because I don't think that people have as much freedoms as they think they do. They're supposed to be able to, vote in a new president. I'm not sure what the term is, but the president has the ability to change that law as he pleases.
Oh,
so he can be president for 10 more years just because he wants to, So
there's no court keeping him accountable kind of thing.
No, I don't think they have anything like that put in place.
Yeah.
So there's been this recent wave of taking down statues, Confederate statues in the U.S. I saw that they were taking down a Christopher Columbus statue. Is there a revolution to take down the pyramids?
Go ahead and try, man. You're not moving them.
The aliens will come out and put it back together.
The aliens. When
you want to know,
go ahead.
People are always like, oh, the aliens built the pyramids, this or that. Listen, once you have lived in Egypt, there's no doubt in my mind that these people built those pyramids. Right. I was helping somebody move the other day, and they have a refrigerator and an oven and this and that, and we're moving it into this flat on the 4th floor, okay? No elevator. I watched an Egyptian carry a couch 8 feet by himself up 4 flights of stairs and then carry a refrigerator on his back by himself. They're like, and it's not like, it's like this guy is huge or ripped or anything. He's just some average guy. He's just picking up a refrigerator, walking up the stairs. It's like these are definitely the people that built the pyramids. There's no doubt in my mind.
And with the help of aliens.
Hold on, there's like a jet engine
What
going by outside.
a race car drove by.
That's what we call a super fast cow over here in Montana.
Pretty technical term. Super fast.
Yeah. Cow.
So Jake, with your time in Cairo, you've been gone about a year. Definitely getting used to things over there. What's
sure.
something that you might be able to pull maybe recently, or kind of looking at the entirety of your time in Cairo? What's something that maybe God has been teaching you through your time there?
For sure. I mean, God has taught me so much here. I mean, like language and culture and everything like that. There's no way that you can do that without the Lord. I mean, there's just no way. But aside from that, I mean, like, the Lord has really taught me that if He is not my satisfaction, and like truly, if the Lord is not your satisfaction, you won't be satisfied, no matter what it is. And like, if you ask God to make you bold, and it's not like, oh, the Lord is going to give you like all of these powers that now all of a sudden you're bold, but God is going to give you opportunities to be bold and to see if, okay, you want to be bold, here's the opportunity. If you want to be patient, you're going to have an annoying person talk to you, and that's your opportunity, Yeah, like God will give us the opportunities to do what we are asking. And I think when we pray, and me and Zach have talked about this so much over the years, because it's such a process. Like John 15:5, we talk about like, I'm the vine and you are the branches, and if you remain in me and I in you, then you will bear much fruit. And it talks about how God is the pruner, and He's cutting off any branch that doesn't bear fruit, and He throws it away into the fire. And this idea of what I think Zach coined as reciprocal indwelling years ago, of the Lord dwelling in me and I dwelling in the Lord. But when we make that prayer of, God, I want to be pruned, it's like, you better be ready to be pruned, because it's not like God is going to take that lightly. And the Lord prunes you, like we've said this before 100 times, not with a soft, dainty white glove and little shears, but like God pulls out an axe and a chainsaw and He starts sawing. And it's like, He's going to take off what isn't pleasing to Him. And He's going to make you into something that does please Him, that brings Him much, much glory and much fruit. And it's like, you can't be ready for that, because you don't know what God's going to take away from you that isn't bringing glory to Him.
Right.
But it's like don't pray that if you're not ready for it to happen, because it's such a experience. And I feel like I've matured in many ways in my relationship with the Lord, and like in my abiding time is more than just like reading 2 chapters a day and praying for 10 minutes. It's like when you get into that abiding in Jesus, it becomes less of a like, oh, this is off my checklist, but it's like I want to spend time with the Lord. It's my time with the Lord is sweet. It's like hanging out with your friends playing Fortnite for hours. Like, you have fun doing it. When you get into that intimacy with God, it's something that you don't want to leave. It's like you want to learn more about God. You want to memorize more scripture. You want to sing praise to Him, because He's worthy. Like, He has done everything, and He has been so like consistent, and He has revealed Himself in so many ways that how could you not?
Right.
And it's just been, even through Arabic, I have learned more like about the Bible opening up, because I've been reading the Bible in Arabic and struggling through it because it's hard, but learning more about who God is, because Arabic is very similar to the Hebrew in which it was written. So this is like a really cool story that I had no idea, and it totally blew my mind. So Bethlehem, okay, let me ask you if you know the significance of why Jesus was born in Bethlehem.
From what I remember, it has to do with His genealogy. Like, God was returning a king to that town.
Okay, so Bethlehem in Arabic is Beit Lahm, and it's like pretty close. But Beit Lahm literally means the house of meat. And Bethlehem in its day was known as the area where people would get their sacrifices.
Oh, wow.
So when you would need your sin atonement or your sin sacrifice, you would buy your sacrifice from Beit Lahem, the house of meat, for your sacrifice. The significance of Jesus being born in Beit Lahem is to foreshadow his coming as the perfect sacrifice.
Wow.
And learning that, it was like the Bible consistently is just foreshadowing its future.
Yeah.
You know, like we see with Abraham and Isaac, Abraham being willing to sacrifice his son, but then God made a way to foreshadow, like, then God comes and he says, I'll make another way and I'll sacrifice my son. It's just so cool to see the Bible, like, just it foreshadows itself, and it brings, like, I don't know. It was just so cool to me.
That is really cool.
Always proving itself, relevant, and
Yeah.
how God's plan is so good, and it works, and it makes sense. Even if we don't, like we were talking about at the beginning, we may not understand all of it, and we're not going to, but just things like that where it's like, man, that just totally works.
Yeah. Fits perfectly.
Yeah. Now, just a couple other questions that we wanted to ask you, Jake, is maybe something that you would share with anybody who is considering, a relationship with the Lord, maybe wants to go into some form of ministry. What advice would you give that person?
Yeah. I think considering a relationship with the Lord is like such a no-brainer. It's like God is so faithful, and he will prove himself over and over. It's like if you are like, okay, God, I'm going to give this thing a chance. Like, Lord, will you prove yourself to me? Buckle up, man. Like, just settle in, because God will prove himself to you. Like I've said before, like, if you can't see the hand of God moving, you're blind.
Right.
You're not looking. So just do it. And as far as like ministry and considering that, I would say if you aren't ready to lower yourself to serve people, then it's not the position for you. Because ministry is not like oh, look at me, I'm such a good preacher, I'm such a good, worshiper or this or that. But it's following the example of Jesus and humbling ourselves to the point of a servant to serve people. Because that's ultimately the goal. I mean, we want to serve people to exalt God. We want to exalt Christ, who was the humble servant. So if you are wanting to do ministry for any other reason than wanting to glorify God, you got to rethink it. Because Jesus will get his glory no matter what, and that's going to be on your own shearing of the tree. Like, God will cut it down, and he will humble those that need it. So yeah, just be willing to serve people. Like that's our position, to serve.
Yeah, that's good. You are an avid member of the Jiu-Jitsu community. What committee?
How's that IBJJF committee position going?
BJJ community, even though you haven't rolled since November, but what is your favorite thing about BJJ?
Glad you asked. Never thought we'd get here.
Let me tell you. I mean, I love BJJ. Like, I love choking people unconscious and seeing the just blood drain from their heads. But but more than that, like, I love the brotherhood of BJJ. Like, there's just some aspect of training with people and like giving part of yourself. Like you're training hard and you're sweating and bleeding and you're hyperextending your elbow every other roll. It's like people that you do that with, you develop such a bond. Like the friends and the brothers and sisters. I'm not being prejudiced. That I've made in jiu-jitsu is like it goes so much farther beyond just the mat.
Yeah.
It's like such a a relationship that you build with those people, because it's so, I don't know.
It's more than that.
I hate to use the word intimate but really
is,
though,
yeah.
it's like
It's a
you're close and you are, giving part of yourself all the time.
when we talked about TFL and what TFL is, I don't remember what episode that was, but we talked about that very thing and how, the relationships that you build through that brotherhood and bond of Dakota and I on the mats for 5 hours, exerting ourselves, and how much more vulnerable could you be with someone until you tap? You know what I mean?
Right.
Complete submission. That's why it's called a submission. You know what I mean? But through that, there's bridges built with people, and a lot quicker than other ways. When a stranger comes in and trains enough to where you could finally roll or whatever, or is learning a submission, I mean, it's a cool thing and a cool way to kind of build, friendships and a bond with somebody.
Yeah.
And like you said, it goes way beyond the mats. And one of the places that it goes to is potentially the ER.
That's
Have
for
you
sure.
had
I've
personal
Oh, sorry.
experience with this?
I've been to the emergency room with Zach more times than I should have been.
So one of the last nights of rolling before Jake got on the airplane to go to Cairo, we spent the evening in the emergency room.
Wow.
It was literally like your last time rolling, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean,
What a send-off.
it was forced to be my last
well,
time rolling.
Whether it was supposed to be or not.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what got broken or torn?
He got snippy with me,
Yeah. You ever just talk back to your mom when you were a kid? It was like that.
What'd you say, Jake?
Yeah. Excuse me?
We were drilling, if I recall the story correctly, we were drilling kind of this pass, an open guard pass or half guard pass, where you kind of put your knee on the other person's chest, belly area.
Oh, yeah, that sounds
and
super
you use it as a
safe.
wedge. And not to say any names, but my dad was partnered up with Jake.
So I'll say it anyways.
And he, my dad's not necessarily the lightest guy in the world. He's not gigantic, but he's big. He's tough.
He's a big dude.
He's a big guy. So he was drilling on Jake and doing the move, and all of a sudden Jake's entire chest cavity caved into his lungs.
Oh, you just hear a pop.
And Jake's like, man, that hurt. He wasn't feeling too hot. So I'm like, man, do we need to go to the ER again? Because we've gone there for
You know
a couple
what?
things.
That was the night that Bacon and somebody got promoted that night.
Was it Bacon and Circus, maybe?
No, it was Squints, I think, that got promoted that night.
Was it? No.
Or
Squints
somebody.
just got promoted not too long ago.
Okay, no.
You're right. I think it was something special that night. Dang.
It might have even been your dad.
Oh,
I don't
maybe
remember.
that was it. Yeah, somebody. Yeah, you're totally right now that I recall, because we sucked it up and stayed through the class. And then
Yeah, because I was in the pictures and all the blood is drained from my face
all
because
pale.
I'm dying.
So
I gotta go back and look now at the
yeah,
picture.
you find it. But here's what ended up happening: is we went to the ER, fun trip. Then we got back and they did an X. They did an X-ray on Jake's chest. But first they took off his shirt, and then put on that little nightgown thing, right? So I'm sitting in the little half room or whatever, wondering what else is going on. I'm just so curious. But there's a couple really funny stories involved in this, but here's one of them. Is Jake, they take him down to get X-rayed. I'm just chilling in the room. He comes back and he's just ready to burst into laughter, because he gets back there. And that's the way he told it. I don't know if this is correct, exactly right, but he comes back and goes, well, I feel like an idiot. Because he got back there and the little nurse, was ready to take it. And he looks down at his little nightgown and kind of goes, oh, do you need me to take this off?
For the X-ray?
The X-ray sees through your skin into your bones.
It's like a millimeter thick.
I'm like, man, was she thinking you were trying to hit on her? Hey, didn't need me to take
He's
this
just
off,
looking
sweetie.
for an excuse to declothe.
Oh man, yep. It was circus. No, not circus. Chef and bacon, I think.
Oh, there we go.
What a great duo of nicknames.
Chef and Bacon, and then Bacon's son's name is
Yeah.
Mater.
Yeah.
A couple of the new nicknames we have, Jake, is Ricochet.
Okay.
Lexi has the name Panda Express now. Don't know if you
Perfect.
were there for that one. But ever since we got to the new academy, there really hasn't been that many nicknames given out lately.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to subcontract that to me? I can come in and nickname all the
Yeah.
You
newbies.
just see Dakota over on the edge with a clipboard.
Yeah,
right.
just taking notes.
Yeah.
That guy has white shoes.
Here's an attribute of this guy. Grenade. I want to nickname somebody Grenade. Is that
Yeah.
a good one?
Speedwagon.
Oh, that's the name of the cow that went by. For some reason,
Old
Oh, Speedwagon.
Speedwagon out there trying to get him to the butcher again. He just takes off. Well, Jake, that's kind of concludes our questions. We're drilling you.
Those are questions for today's topic. I did want to say that I'm extremely proud of you. I'm proud to be supporting what you're doing. And I love hearing about everything that's going on in Cairo. And I can't imagine anyone else that would do a better job.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah, and
you.
we appreciate you being in our corner, and I hope you know what you do, that we are in your corner.
Yeah.
Lifting you up, always praying for you, and really always excited to hear back, about the good and the bad that you're going through, because we know there might be a lot of pressure for you to be like, yes, things are great, and there's always awesome things happening, and, but we know that
sure.
life is true wherever you are,
Yeah.
and life sometimes isn't fair, and things don't go as planned, so, I know that can sometimes put a lot of pressure on people
Yeah.
in your scenario. So, but just know through the thick and thin, we are in your corner, man.
Imperial Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, offering quality training with affordable payment plans and discounts for all military personnel, police officers, nurses, firefighters, first responders, and college students. Imperial BJJ is the place to start your jiu-jitsu journey. With classes available from 6 years old to adult in a clean, modern facility, it's a place for the whole family to benefit together. Imperial BJJ, where beginners start every day.
So, Jake, probably the most important question we ever ask anyone on this podcast is, what would be your walkout song?
And his name is John C.
I walked out a few times in the old what the heck is that place?
Lewistown?
Plains, not Plains. Lewistown. Yeah. A couple times, and had a few
A few scuffs.
little songs, but I think I'd have to pick the Tempo by KB.
I am as free as my hair. Cut it or comb and forget it. I'ma do what I've been called to do. Never suspected. Just for the record, I know. I just hit my rhythm, boy. This is not your tempo, boy.
Jake has
Yeah.
a little Honda, and no, well, not now.
I'm like, wow.
That was my rap name.
Yeah,
back in
little-
the day. Little
Little
Honda.
Honda. That was his mat name. What's up, little Honda? That was an engine.
Are you sure?
I don't know. No, it almost sounded like a country twang.
That's what I thought too.
Dang it.
Whoa.
I hate country so much.
Whoa.
Oh, it just makes me angry just even thinking about country. Like instantly, like I'm just irritated right now. All of a sudden.
Maybe lock them doors and
Oh man! All right, we're done. We're done here. I gotta go. No.
All
All right,
right.
thanks, Jake. No, but Jake has this a sub. Okay, here's a funny story. The sub that I bought
this
from
is-
you,
I
Okay.
gave to you.
I gave you $20.
He bought it for $20.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I spent the $20 on you.
Well, that doesn't mean you gave it.
Oh,
to me.
okay. You bought it for me.
Thanks, Jake, for remembering. That was when we were. Remember? Oh yeah, this was fun. This is when I first got to know you. It was at Dairy Queen, and I still didn't know what to think of you. It was a weird, awkward.
You
lunch,
probably
actually.
still don't know what to think.
No, I never. There's always a level of unknown. I always feel like you might stab me. Okay, don't look at me like that. But for some reason, you offered me a 10-inch subwoofer.
I'd never
in your
hooked it up
trunk.
before.
But I don't know how we got to that conversation. Anyways,
I think you were saying something like, "Man, I think I could really use like a sub. I should go buy one like in the next month or something." And I was like, "Guess what? I
The
got
Lord
one
provides,
in my
doesn't
trunk right now that I never has seen sound before."
So I bought it from you, and then it was in my trunk for a while till Jake's birthday came up, or something like that. It was Christmas. I don't quite remember.
It was April Fool's Day probably or something.
So I had my man. Jake and I used to work at the restaurant together, and I had my manager convinced that Jake's birthday was on July 15th. When it's actually
coming up,
January 15th. And so when he was...
I'm ready for my gifts.
So when he was... we get like $20 from the staff or something. And so he goes, my birthday is coming up. And like, my manager goes, no, it isn't. It was like January 7th or something. And I'm like, yep, it's not till July. Anyways, I ended up giving Jake the subwoofer and some cords and stuff. I think all he had to do was basically go get it installed.
Yeah, and you gave me the amp too.
Oh yeah, there was an amp with it.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
so
you
he had the whole thing. But anyhow, with like songs like Tempo and that, Jake would just bump in this little Honda with that little 10-inch sub. But you wouldn't know.
I'd be sitting outside jiu-jitsu with like the horses in the back song playing at like just shaking the whole like parking lot.
Oh, you mean Old Town Road?
The horses in the back song.
You must be from Montana. You know that Horses in the Back song?
I love what those new kids are doing on those country songs.
Oh. Either way, I'm glad you liked that subwoofer. Your dad drives that car around now.
Yeah. I wonder if he's bouncing in there.
We should ask.
Ozzy Osbourne or some Led Zeppelin.
So whenever I'm flipping through the FM, I was gonna say the FM transmitter.
You are so old.
I thought you were gonna say whenever I'm flipping through the effing radio.
Whenever you're just surfing them radio waves. Whenever like some classic 80s like, AC/DC song or something comes on, I always think of Jake's dad because he just loves, 80s rock. And so
Exactly that.
So like a song will come on that's clearly by Led Zeppelin, and I will record myself being like, man, I love the Rolling Stones. Your dad would love this song. I'll send it to Jake.
Savage.
You and I have had some embarrassing moments, and wanted to ask you, do you have an embarrassing story you'd like to share with our Cross-Choke listeners?
Man, while I've been here or just any?
Oh, many.
Up to you.
Okay. One of the most embarrassing things that happened to me here was like my 4th day here. Okay, I'm not the best with directions, all right? You could just, back in the day playing like Black Ops 2 Zombies in the Alcatraz, Zach would be like, okay, you need to get to the roof. I'd be like, bro, come on, man.
We'd be like down.
I don't know how.
Yeah,
to
like
do that.
down in like the warden's area or something, and we got everything unlocked, and we got somehow split up. It's like round 25. It's getting real. And I'm like, all right, dude, let's go to the roof. Let's go to the roof. And I can't like guide him,
Right?
And he's like doing circles.
Let's be honest, that map is very confusing.
Dude, I had that map down.
Zach still remembers it right
But-
now.
I'm going through it in my
he still
head.
knows where all the parts are. So I'm not the best with directions, okay? And when you move to a new country where you have like no friends and you don't speak the language and you don't know anything, that's like not a good thing to not know where you're at, right? So I had only walked to school with other people, okay, like 3 or 4 times. And I knew that my school was right by a Hardee's and a Kentucky Fried Chicken that are right next to each other. And today's the day for me to walk to school by myself. And I'm like, all right. So I get on Google Maps and I Google Kentucky Fried Chicken because I was like, there can't be that many. And it's right next to a Hardee's. So I'll know that's the one. And so I find it, boom, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Hardee's, right next to each other. Perfect. I walk out the door and I start walking and I'm like halfway there and I'm like looking around. Like, this just doesn't look right. Like, it just doesn't look familiar. And as I'm walking there, this lady is crossing the street and gets hit by a car. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I see this lady get hit by a car. I have class in 5 minutes and I'm looking around. Okay, there's Kentucky Fried Chicken and there's Hardee's. And I'm like, where the heck am I? I'm not in the right spot. So it just so happens that there is another Kentucky Fried Chicken and another Hardee's that are right next to each other on the absolute opposite way that I walk. And so I call up one of my classmates and I'm like, I don't know where I am. I was starting to panic. I was like, I don't know where I am. He's like, don't worry, just get in a taxi and tell them this area, this is where you want to go. I'm like, okay. So I get in the taxi and tell him, and he brings me there and he goes, okay, where in this area? And I'm like, Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's all I know. I don't know.
Could you be more American to that guy?
And so I make it, and I was so embarrassed because I just went that totally wrong way. It was like my first day walking by myself, and I totally screwed it up. And
Oh, I can't imagine.
yeah, that was also like scary because I would like saw the lady get hit by the car and couldn't communicate with anybody, and I was like, okay, I have no idea where I am.
And what are the odds of that? Are all Kentucky Fried Chicken next to Hardee's out there?
You know, I don't think so, but that in that case,
Is
they
it like a Home Depot and Lowe's situation?
Right.
You know,
yeah,
or like McDonald's and like Subway or something. Like
Subway
what?
and Town
I
Foam.
was like, maybe that's a beef thing. McDonald's and like Taco Bell. They still always seem right.
Yeah, they're pretty close often.
Or like a Wendy's. You know, they're always right there. You know, you got your fast food strip in every city.
Right.
Sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, Jesus Christ.
Romans 10:9.
إن كنت تشاهد بفمك وتقول عيسى هو ملنا وإن كنت تؤمن بقلبك أن الله أقيمه من الموت فإنك تنجو. If you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved.
Nice.
Amen.
That was cool.
I mean,
our second PSN code, Dakota, is 5PA4A4N5JBFE. First come, first serve. Jake, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
You have not a PlayStation there, but an Xbox.
An Xbox, yeah.
And
Me and Microsoft aren't good buddies.
you and Microsoft aren't good buddies. When we were preparing to do this podcast episode with you, we were thinking about doing it through Skype. So our software right now is enabling us to record the audio from this FaceTime call and then later edit it. But originally, when Dakota and I were testing this out, we were trying to do Skype. And, you know, if you don't know, Skype is owned by Microsoft. And all of us are very Apple-oriented people.
I am now and used to be.
We were literally... All we were trying to do was for Dakota and I to become friends on Skype.
That's it.
And then do a test.
Or at least just call. That's it. Nothing fancy.
No. We couldn't figure it out.
We spent like 20 minutes.
Like enough to where Dakota downloaded Skype, logged in,
Yep.
we tried to find each other,
Yep.
and that was what we tried to do for like 20 minutes.
Literally deleted it so fast. after that.
Dakota finally goes, "Okay, I'm deleting this," and I go, "Okay, we'll just do FaceTime."
Yeah. What?
Because there's always been like a thing in my brain that says Skype is more stable.
Right?
I don't know where that
Because
came
I
from.
used
That's
to use
not
it
true.
a lot, like when I was in high school.
Yeah, but it's totally not true. Well, we didn't even call, so how do I even know?
Right. Yeah.
But this has been really
Consistent.
reliable. You know what I mean?
It's worked
We're
well.
FaceTime right now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, with that in mind, you have an Xbox made by Microsoft.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
How has that been for you?
You know,
That's the
I just
biggest
was saying
culture
the other
shock.
day,
Yeah, the biggest culture
There's-
shock was the Xbox.
there's gonna be a day that I put the DualShock back in my hands, and it's gonna be weird because I've been playing the Xbox.
Oh.
Like that's so sad.
Oh.
But I hate Microsoft. Like they don't own a program that is easy to use.
Agreed.
The Xbox interface is so stupid. Like how do I find the settings? I don't know. How do I find another game? I don't know. Like Microsoft Teams. We use Teams all the time. That's the stupidest thing in the world. Skype? Yeah. Good
And
luck.
when you ask an Xbox user, for instance, my brother-in-law, I'm like, okay, how do I add someone in my party? I don't know. I'm like, you've had this for like 5 years and you don't know how to create a party? No. I'm like, well, how do I turn my chat volume up? I don't know. I'm like,
You should. He's like, you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. You only recently, I mean, the last couple of months, found that Xbox. You know.
Yeah.
And I know it's been a big helper for you in the downtime of COVID quarantine.
For sure.
And we've actually been able to play a couple games of like Fortnite and Rocket League as well.
Gotta love that crossplay, man.
Yeah, crossplay, which is something very, very new to the Sony PlayStation ecosystem. So that's been cool.
you want to hop on right now?
Yeah, I'm free,
So
man.
you just hear beep. All right, guys. So the next hour is going to be us streaming on Twitch as
What's
well.
up, guys? This is now a Twitch stream.
So Dakota, this may be a great time to announce TFL Esports.
I mean, it would be.
What's up, guys? Presenting TFL Esports. Dakota's going live on Facebook Gaming every
With
7 p.m. Montana time.
backgammon.
Shoot me in the hand, would you?
Yeah, with chess.
Facebook, what's it, bingo or something?
You ever play chess against a computer? I
Oh,
mean,
dude.
Playing words with friends.
I'm a mobile streamer. I play Words with Friends.
All it is screen
Watch me
recording.
beat my grandma in Scrabble.
You upload the screen recording to Instagram stories.
Yeah. Check out this move, guys.
TFL Esports coming soon.
2021. Maybe.
2024.
All right. Well, Jake, we appreciate you joining us today.
The honor's been mine. Really, it was fun.
Oh, man, and we miss you. We really look forward to the next time you're able to come to the States, whenever that may be. I know the travel restrictions
sure.
are pretty big there. You might have been planning a little stay here for a certain time. I don't know. But either way, I know things have been thrown off. But either way, the next time we see
sure.
you, we'll have to do another podcast in person, which would be fun.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys don't have Venmo, you could just Venmo Zach for plane tickets so you can come visit me. I also need somebody to bring me some Girl Scout cookies or something that I've been missing, so.
Come on, got me a Marlin! Yeah!
And on that note, that is it for this episode. Thank you to our sponsors and cornermen for making this episode possible. Be sure to stay up to date on all things TFL by following us on all social platforms, and we will catch you next time.
Next time.
Next time.
Thank you so much for listening to Season 2 of Crosschoke. It was a blast creating this episode, and we hope you enjoyed listening. Submit any fun questions, inquisitive comments, serious requests, or hilarious stories to tflministries.com/podcast. Feel free to follow Zach at Andover Butte and myself at South Friday. Have an amazing day and join us next time on Crosschoke. You are listening to Crosschoke. Please leave us a review on your podcast service of choice and share with your friends. Why are you laughing at me? What's so funny?
Did you just rip a blunt or something, bro?
Why? What are you talking about? It was a vocal cue.
I'm so sorry. But it just sounded like your excitement level went from like a 5 to like a -1.
I think it's the echo.
So there's a little bit of an echo happening here.
What's up?
I can redo it.
Let's redo it. I'm really sorry I lost it.
You are listening. To
well, yeah, you go.
Crosschoke.
Let's open things up. You are listening. Okay, go ahead. I'll shut up. So, Jake, you don't need to say your name if you don't want to.
That would be so awkward to say my own name.
We'll say it. I don't know. I didn't know what else to put there. It's kind of weird to say Jake's name, but I thought it'd be cool.
Big Papa.
Whenever you're ready,
Oh, okay. We're going for it, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, so you and I will our thoughts. Anything else you wanted to ask Dakota? I slurred off there like I had a stroke.
No. That's so funny.
You go.
It's so hard with this echo to
I'm
to
getting
talk.
used to it, bro. I feel like I'm in a cave.
I do not feel that way yet.
No.
No.
Such a savage.